Katana Zero released in 2019 on Nintendo Switch and PC, and it promised intense gameplay with an interesting style and story, all of which it definitely delivered on. I got a recommendation from a friend to play this game, but I'm sure I probably would have ended up playing it eventually anyways. Based on some of my favorite other games, I was pretty sure I was gonna enjoy this game, and I was right. So without any further interruptions, let's get into my review of Katana Zero. Right from the beginning of this game, I was hooked. Mainly for two reasons. First of all, the opening stage is incredible and does everything right, and I noticed it boasted many similarities to Hotline Miami, my favorite indie game I played this year. Back to the first point, the beginning is amazing. Not only does the first stage teach you all the central mechanics, it also sets up the intriguing story. As you can see with the gameplay being shown, the game starts with a rainy night. A flying body flies down in front of this poor lonely guard, followed by a mysterious man with a deadly katana. The guard opens fire, only for the game to let you make the very first move. Press Y to slash your sword, and as this mysterious man, you deflect the bullet and the guard falls dead. This scene not only teaches you the central move, the sword slash, in a much more interesting way than just saying press Y to attack, but it also sets the whole mood for the game. Accompanied by the perfect song in the background, anyone who's played this has got to admit it's pretty incredible. Definitely one of the best openings I've played in a while. Not quite Last of Us levels, but close. Anyways, on to the second point. Katana Zero has multiple similarities to Hotline Miami, in both design and story. The gameplay loop in both of these games revolves around going through room after room, defeating large amounts of enemies, with a big emphasis on trial and error. There's checkpoints quite often, and that's because the enemies are quite unforgiving, and it can be pretty difficult to take out everyone without dying in one hit. Story-wise, both have rather confusing stories that are hard to understand from more than a basic viewpoint. They usually start to make a lot more sense when you do some research or play through the game multiple times. That's about where the similarities end. While the way the levels are designed is similar, the actual gameplay is quite different. Hotline Miami is top-down and all about racking up points through brutal melee kills and shootouts, while Katana Zero is side-scrolling and focuses on sword combat and some other small mechanics. Honestly, I think Hotline Miami did a better job with its massive amount of weapons compared to Katana Zero that completely relies on the katana, but we can get into that later. Basically, my point here is that if you liked Hotline Miami, you'll like this game a lot as well. Now, let's get more into the gameplay of Katana Zero, because in the end, that's what the game is about. The story for sure had a lot of thought put into it, but based on the trailers and such, it's more of a come for the gameplay, stay for the story situation. To be blunt, Katana Zero's combat is fast-paced, fun, and quite brutal. As I've said, the main thing you'll be doing is slashing people up with your katana, but you can also do things like deflect bullets and throw miscellaneous items found throughout levels. The other main mechanic is the ability to slow time. This can be very helpful for dodging attacks, deflecting bullets, or just getting a minute to catch your breath. At the beginning, I'll admit, apart from looking cool, this ability isn't really needed. But as the game gets quite a bit more challenging, it would be near impossible without it. So yeah, that's about it for the combat, which honestly doesn't seem like much, and it isn't. This is one of my few complaints with the game. After multiple playthroughs, the gameplay does start to get a little repetitive and bland. Not to say the developers didn't try to spice things up every once in a while. Every so often, certain levels have really intuitive designs, or just change up the whole side-scrolling thing. For example, one level sees you riding on a motorbike, but you still have to deflect bullets and slash people up. You now also have to dodge traffic and deal with tricky bullet patterns. Or another level throws in minecarts for fun. There's also a decent amount of boss battles that help to change things up. Or, apart from just levels, there's also a bit of customization you can do to your katana. I believe there are 5 different katanas you can unlock by completing secret challenges, and each sword has its own ability, such as one is on fire, one attacks slowly, and one is a Zelda reference, so that's pretty awesome. So yeah, there is quite a bit to change things up, so going through the game once, I never felt like the gameplay was that repetitive. But going through it again, you start to realize that everything is pretty similar. Nonetheless, it wasn't a huge problem. Katana Zero is also a pretty short game, so that makes up for it as well. There's apparently DLC coming in the future, possibly 2021, and it's supposed to be quite large, so I'm really looking forward to that. On to the story. It's confusing. To sum it up without spoiling stuff, you play as an assassin with superhuman-like abilities, taking out targets without any compassion, until, well, things start getting weird, particularly with the drug you use to gain your abilities. Although the story is hard to follow at points and unfinished since the DLC is meant to continue the story, it is still interesting and brings up a lot of interesting ideas or parallels real life situation nowadays or in the past. For example, a past war that is a central part of the story is clearly meant to have many similarities to the Vietnam War. Anyways, one thing that makes the story all the better is the dialogue. I don't mean like the writing and stuff, which is fine, but I mean the actual text boxes. All sorts of weird things happen to the font and color to provide emphasis on certain words. Or if you kill someone while they're speaking, the letters just fall to the bottom of the screen. It's really neat and fun sometimes. Even for how serious of a story this game has, there's lots of fun little moments to look forward to. And, to my surprise, dialogue choices that you make actually affect stuff. You get all sorts of choices, but most of them I assume just change immediate reactions, but they didn't really have any long-term effects. Yet, as I found out, they actually do change things in the future, going so far as to even unlock a special boss. There's one sequence where dialogue choices are used so interestingly, it was incredible. You have to repeat the same interrogation over and over, using the information from previous talks to your advantage in the future. It was just so creative. As one last point, I really enjoyed the pixel art, neo-cyberpunkish style, and especially the amazing animation. But that is about all I have to say about Katana Zero. It's a wonderful, if short, indie game that presents an interesting story paired with some bloody fantastic gameplay. I'd recommend it to anyone who likes challenging games that don't require much waiting. I'll give Katana Zero an A-. Thank you everyone for watching, and sorry about not making an end of the year video for 2020, but as I've said, I only played The Last of Us Part 2 this year. I'm in the middle of Ghost of Tsushima, and I mean, come on, this game deserved Game of the Year like a million more times than The Last of Us, but that's a topic for another day. Make sure to like and subscribe if you enjoyed, and I hope to see you all again in another video. Bye.